This is the August 2019 ELA Regents, Reading Comprehension Passage A, Brooklyn. If I look down at the bottom, I see that this is by Colm Toibin, excerpted and adapted from Brooklyn in 2009. Scrolling back up to the top. Brooklyn. Eyeless Lacey, sitting at the window of the upstairs living room in the house on Friary Street, noticed her sister walking briskly from work. She watched Rose crossing the street from sunlight into shade, carrying the new leather handbag that she had bought in Cleary's in Dublin, Ireland in the sale. Rose was wearing a cream-colored cardigan over her shoulders. Her golf clubs were in the hall. In a few minutes, Eyeless knew someone would call for her, and her sister would not return until the summer evening had faded. Eyeless's bookkeeping classes were almost ended now. She had a manual on her lap about systems of accounting, and on the table behind her was a ledger where she had entered, as her homework, on the debit and credit sides, the daily business of a company whose details she had taken down in notes in the vocational school the week before. As soon as she heard the front door open, Eyeless went downstairs. Rose, in the hall, was holding her pocket mirror in front of her face. She was studying herself closely as she applied lipstick and eye makeup before glancing at her overall appearance in the large hall mirror, settling her hair. Eyeless looked on silently as her sister moistened her lips, and then checked herself one more time in the pocket mirror before putting it away. Their mother came from the kitchen to the hall. Rose reached in her handbag and took out her purse. She placed a 1-shilling piece on the hall stand. "That's in case you want to go to the pictures," she said to Eyeless. "And what about me?" her mother asked. "She'll tell you the story when she gets home," Rose replied. All three laughed as they heard a car stop outside the door and beep its horn. Rose picked up her golf clubs and was gone. Later, as her mother washed the dishes and Eyeless dried them, another knock came at the door. When Eyeless answered it, she found a girl whom she recognized from Kelly's grocery shop beside the cathedral. "Miss Kelly sent me with a message for you," the girl said. "She wants to see you." "Does she?" Eyeless asked. "And did she say what it was about?" "No, you're just to call up there tonight." Miss Kelly slowly came down the stairs into the hallway and turned on a light. "Now," she said, and repeated it as though it were a greeting. She did not smile. "I hear you have no job at all, but a great head for figures. Is that right?" "Oh, the whole town, anyone who is anyone, comes into the shop, and I hear everything. And we are worked off our feet every Sunday here. Sure, there's nothing else open. And we get all sorts, good, bad, and indifferent, and as a rule I open after 7 Mass, and between the end of 9 o'clock Mass until 11 Mass is well over. And there isn't room to move in the shop. I have Mary here to help, but she's slow enough at the best of times, so I was on the lookout for someone sharp, someone who would know people and give the right change, but only on Sundays, mind. The rest of the week we can manage ourselves. And you were recommended. I made inquiries about you, and it would be 7 and 6 a week. It might help your mother a bit." "Well?" Miss Kelly asked. Eyeless realized that she could not turn down the offer. It would be better than nothing, and at the moment she had nothing. Rose, at 30, Eyeless thought, was more glamorous every year, and while she had had several boyfriends, she remained single. She often remarked that she had a much better life than many of her former schoolmates who were now seen pushing prams through the streets. Eyeless was proud of her sister, of how much care she took with her appearance, and how much care she put into whom she mixed with in the town and the golf club. She knew that Rose had tried to find her work in an office, and Rose was paying for her books now that she was studying bookkeeping and rudimentary accountancy. But she knew also that there was, at least for the moment, no work for anyone in Enniscorthy, no matter what their qualifications. Eyeless did not tell Rose about her offer of work from Miss Kelly. Instead, she went through her training. She saved up every detail to recount to her mother, who laughed and made her tell some parts of the story again. "That Miss Kelly," her mother said, "is as bad as her mother, and I heard from someone who worked there that woman was evil incarnate. And she was just a maid in Roche's before she married, and Kelly's used to be a boarding house as well as a shop, and if you worked for her, or even if you had stayed there or dealt in the shop, she was evil incarnate, unless, of course, you had plenty of money, or you were one of the clergy." "I'm just there until something turns up," Eyeless said. "That's what I said to Rose when I was telling her," her mother replied. "And don't listen to her if she says anything to you." One day at dinner time, Rose, who walked home from the office at 1 and returned at 1:45, mentioned that she had played golf the previous evening with a priest, a Father Flood, who had known their father years before and their mother when she was a young girl. He was home from America on holidays, his first visit since before the war. Anyway, Rose said, I invited him in for his tea when he said that he'd like to call on you, and he's coming tomorrow. Father Flood was tall. His accent was a mixture of Irish and American. Nothing he said could convince Eilis's mother that she had known him or his family. His mother, he said, had been a Rockford. I don't think I knew her, her mother said. The only Rockford we knew was old Hatchethead. Father Flood looked at her solemnly. Hatchethead was my uncle, he said. Was he? Her mother asked. Eilis saw how close she was to nervous laughter. Rose poured more tea as Eilis quietly left the room, afraid that if she stayed she would be unable to disguise an urge to begin laughing. When she returned, she realized that Father Flood had heard about her job at Miss Kelly's, had found out about her pay, and had expressed shock at how low it was. He inquired about her qualifications. In the United States, he said, there would be plenty of work for someone like you, and with good pay. In Brooklyn, where my parish is, there would be office work for someone who was hard-working and educated and honest. It's very far away, though, her mother said. That's the only thing. It would be a great opportunity, especially if you were young, Father Flood said finally. Eilis felt like a child when the doctor would come to the house, her mother listening with cowed respect. It was Rose's silence that was new to her. She looked at her now, wanting her sister to ask a question or make a comment, but Rose appeared in a sort of dream. As Eilis watched her, it struck that she had never seen Rose look so beautiful, and then it occurred to her that she was already feeling that she would need to remember this room, her sister, this scene, as though from a distance. In the silence that had lingered, she realized it had somehow been tacitly arranged that Eilis would go to America. Father Flood, she believed, had been invited to the house because Rose knew that he could arrange it. Question 1. The first 3 paragraphs serve to introduce 1. A contrast between the sisters, 2. Rose's condescension towards her sister, 3. The competition between the sisters, or 4. Eilis's concern about her sister. Number 2. Lines 17 through 20 show Rose's 1. Impatience with her mother, 2. Restlessness in her home, 3. Satisfaction with her work, or 4. Thoughtfulness toward her sister. And just as a reminder, lines 17 through 20 say, Rose reached into her handbag and took out her purse. She placed a 1-shilling piece on the hall stand. That's in case you want to go to the pictures, she said to Eilis. And what about me? Her mother asked. She'll tell you the story when she gets home, Rose replied. Number 3. The dialogue in lines 30 through 34 depicts Miss Kelly as 1. Indecisive, 2. Abrupt, 3. Jealous, 4. Bitter. And as a reminder, lines 30 through 34 say, Now, she said, and repeated as though it were a greeting. She did not smile. I hear you have no job at all, but a great head for figures. Is that right? Oh, the whole town, anyone who is anyone comes into the shop, and I hear everything. Number 4. The statement, and we are worked off our feet, in line 35, illustrates that Miss Kelly's shop is 1. Disorderly, 2. Bustling, 3. Bankrupt, 4. Treasured. Number 5. Eilis's attitude toward Rose in lines 46 through 50 can best be described as 1. Protective, 2. Critical, 3. Admiring, 4. Indifferent. And as a reminder, lines 46 through 50 say, Rose, at 30, Eilis thought was more glamorous every year, and while she had several boyfriends, she remained single. She often remarked that she had a much better life than many of her former schoolmates who were seen pushing prams through the streets. Alice was proud of her sister, of how much care she took with her appearance and how much care she put into whom she mixed with in town and at the golf club. Number 6. The phrase, "no work for anyone in Enniscorthy, no matter what their qualifications," in lines 53 through 54, supports a central idea about Ilas's 1. Respect for Miss Kelly's successful business, 2. Incentive to accept any employment, 3. Pressure to pursue further education, or 4. Envy of Rose's comfortable situation. Just a reminder, lines 53 and 54 say, "But she knew that there was, at least for the moment, no work for anyone in Enniscorthy, no matter what their qualifications." Number 7. The author's choice of the word "mentioned" in line 67, as well as Father Flood's comments in lines 86 through 87, most likely indicate that Rose is 1. Afraid that her mother will object to Father Flood's visit, 2. Anticipating that Ilas will help her with the meal, 3. Careful about ensuring that Father Flood feels welcome, or 4. Subtle about putting her plan for Ilas in motion. So line 67, it says, "One day at dinner time, Rose, who walked home from the office at 1 and returned at 1:45, mentioned that she had played golf the previous evening with a priest, a Father Flood." And 86 and 87 say, "In Brooklyn, where my parish is, there would be office work for someone who is hard-working and educated and honest." Number 8. The recognition that a job had somehow been tacitly arranged in 97 suggests that 1. An agreement was made without Rose's permission, 2. Actions were taken to deceive Ilas's family, 3. An agreement was made without Ilas's knowledge, or 4. Actions were taken to limit Father Flood's influence. Line 97 says, "In the silence that lingered, she realized that it had somehow been tacitly arranged that Ilas would go to America." Number 9. Which quotation best reflects a central idea in the passage? Number 1. All three laughed as they heard a car horn stop outside the door and beep its horn in line 21. 2. Miss Kelly sent me with a message for you, the girl said. She wants to see you, in line 26. 3. Rose, at 30, Ilas thought was more glamorous every year, and while she had several boyfriends, she remained single, in lines 46 and 47. 4. In the United States, he said, there would be plenty of work for someone like you, and with good pay, in lines 84 and 85.